Hey guys, welcome. It's finally the end of the year, so I'm going to be tier ranking the different books that I read throughout this year. I read 25 in total. Technically, it's going to be 26 because I'm reading a book right now and I'm pretty sure I'm going to finish it before 2026. So it'll be 26 books, but for now, we're just going to stick with the 24 that I have completely finished. I'm going to go ahead and first start with the different tiers. That way, you and I are both on the same page of what's going on. So the first tier that I have is that for me it's perfect. It might not mean that the book itself is perfect, but like for me, it's perfect. I wouldn't change it, and I just had a really good time reading it this year. The second tier that I have is that it's a solid read, but it has its flaws. So that means that it, in general, is still a good book, but there are aspects that I didn't like or aspects that I would change, and that's why for me it's not a perfect book. The next tier down is that the book is okay, but honestly, at this point, I already forgot about it. Then following is that genuinely don't know how to feel about you. It's for those books that up to this point I still don't have a strong opinion on whether I liked it or disliked it. There are aspects that I liked, aspects that I dislike, but that's where it's at. It's still on the fence. And then the last tier is that I'm gonna be taking you to half price books, and I'm not looking back. These are for the books that I genuinely did not like, and I will never be thinking about them ever again. So I'm gonna go over these one by one, pretty much in the order in which I read them throughout the year. Most of these already have review videos out. There's a couple that I still need to make. But before I start, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Like the video if you end up liking the tier list. We're gonna start. The first book that I have is Year of the Reaper. This one was a reread. I had read it 2 years ago and then I read it this year. And honestly, I love this book so much. For me, it is perfection. It is pretty much about a boy. I think his name is Cass. He is just getting back home from being imprisoned. He went through a whole plague, and when he gets home, there he realizes that there is an assassination attempt on the royal family, and he is trying to figure out like what's going on and everything. And all in all, a really good book. I would highly suggest it. I don't remember if I mentioned already. I do have a review video for this one out, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. The next book that I have is Mexican White Boy. This is one of those books that I had high hopes for, um, and honestly, it disappointed. I am going to be taking it to half price books. I'm not looking back. This book is out of here. I am really, really disappointed with the way this book was written, and that's all I'm gonna say for right now. Pretty much, it's about a guy who is half Mexican, half white, and he is struggling with that identity. And I wish that this aspect was well developed. It wasn't. That's why I am pretty disappointed with it. And yeah, if you want to see my full thoughts, go ahead and check out the review video for it. But I'll move on. All right, so the next one that I have is Shadow and Bone. This is the first book of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And all in all, I'm going to place it in the solid read, but has its flaws. It is a solid foundation, and I think that the world is interesting. Um, the flaws that I had with it was like the main character didn't have as much agency as I would have liked, but overall, I still think it's a solid read. I do have a review video out for this one, so if you want to check it out, go ahead. The next book that I read this year was Through the Dark. Now, this one is part of the Dark Materials series. This one is pretty much a book that's compiled of like different novellas that fit into this world and the characters. And all in all, I'd have to say that it's okay, but I did forget that I read this book, so it's going right in the middle right there. Um, the novellas aren't bad, but they're pretty much forgettable. I thought they were okay. I'm not gonna make its own separate video for it, but that's where it's gonna live for me. So the next one is Siege and Storm. This one is the second book of the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I'm gonna be honest, this one is one of those guilty pleasure books. It should be in the solid read, but has flaws. But I'm not gonna place it there. I'm placing it in the, for me, it's perfection. You have to understand, and if you've read this book, I hope that you do understand. But this book introduces Nikolai. Nikolai is a big part of this book, and you just can't get around with it. This book is Nikolai, and Nikolai is this book, and Nikolai is perfect. Hence, this book is perfect. Like, I've never grown so attached to a character in terms of personality that I've just thoroughly enjoyed reading. That this book, no matter the flaws that I had with Mal's character, Nikolai's character, it's perfect. But that's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna move on. All right, so the next one is a book called Reconstructing Amelia, and this is a book that I had gotten years ago, and it wasn't until this year that I read it. Pretty much, it is a girl. Sorry, pretty much, it's about a mom who is trying to figure out what happened to her daughter. Her daughter died because she fell a off of the school building, and they pretty much chopped it up to it being her unaliving herself. And the mom, like, that's what the mom accepted, but then she gets a text message saying that, like, that's not the whole story, that she was lied to, or whatever it was, or that her daughter didn't jump. So now this whole story is the mom trying to reconstruct Amelia's life. Now, I do have a review video out for this book, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. um I am gonna say I'm placing it in the genuinely don't know how to feel about you tier, because I don't know. There's some aspects that I really did enjoy. There's some aspects that I definitely did not enjoy, but I don't lean one way or another. It's definitely like still on the fence for me. So that's just where it's gonna be. But I do recommend checking out the video in case you are interested in this story, because ultimately it it does have some interesting aspects to it. I'll say that. All right, so the next book that I read is called The Hating Game. Now, this one is a adult romance book, and this is, I think, one of the first adult romance books that I've read, especially ones that had like spicy material, which I completely forgot that this was going to have. So when I read that first, chapter three, chapter five, something like that, and it had that spicy material, I was surprised. Um, but I had seen the movie a while ago, so I was interested in checking out the story because usually the book is better. And I would have to say that I am placing it in the solid read, but has its flaws. Ultimately, it is a good book, but it's not like the best book out there, so it stays in the solid read. Also, I do have a video out for this reviewing that book, so if you want to check it out, go ahead and check it out. The next book that I have is Paper Town by John Green, and this one I am going to tell you right now that it is going to be in the genuinely don't know how to feel about you section, because I still don't know how to feel. When I read this book back in high school, I did enjoy it. When I read it recently, I did not enjoy it. It's one of those books where the main character really frustrated me, but like the circumstances of the plot was like semi interesting. So it's really like on the thin line of like, did I like you enough to push you up, or did I dislike you enough to like push you down? I still don't know. So it's living right there. The next one that I do have, Looking for Alaska, that one, taking you at half price book. I'm not looking back. This book irritates me, and it's one of those books that, like, this one and Mexican White Boy get like recognition. They've won awards, and I don't understand why. I, I'm flabbergasted by that aspect. Um, Looking for Alaska, pretty much, it's about this guy who wants to pretty much start his life over in terms of like social life. So he goes to I think it's like a boarding school, and he befriends his roommate and like his roommate's friends, but they honestly are not good influences. So I have no idea what this book is trying to teach young guys. And then, like, one of the characters in the book passes away, and then he becomes obsessed with that person for the rest of the book. And again, it's kind of like Paper Towns, but just like with the character just being so obsessive. And I think that's what I don't like, when people are just so obsessive. So yeah, I'm gonna move on. So the next book that I read was Ruin and Rising. This one, for me, if you don't know, this is the third book of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. For me, it is going to be in the solid read, but has its flaws. Technically, I will have to say that it is a better written book than Siege and Storm. but Nikolai isn't a huge part of this book, and if he was, it would have been up there, but he wasn't. So it's in the solid read. I do like how this book pretty much tied things together. I think the ending, there's like a certain ending piece that I was kind of iffy on, but overall it is a pretty solid book. Pretty solid found like ending of the series. I do again have a video for this one out, so if you want to check it out, you can check it out. Also, I don't remember if I said it, but I do have a video out for Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska. So if you want to check out my beef with these two books, go ahead and check it out. We're gonna move on. So the next one that I have is The Fault in Our Stars, and I'm gonna tell you right away, it is a solid read. It honestly doesn't baffle me. It doesn't make me curious as to why this book became so popular. It is very clear why this book became so popular. Why, out of the three John Green books that I read, this is the one that had that major motion picture, um, was raved about and everything. Whereas the other two, they got TV shows, but it didn't make any waves. The Fault in Our Stars, the characters have such good chemistry. It is a really touching um, and just like innocent story in a sense. And I don't know, I really like the story, so it's gonna be in that solid read. I think I have a review video for this one. Maybe not. I do for sure have like a reading vlog with this book in it. I don't know if I have a review video for it though, but you can check to see. The next one that I have is One of Us is Lying. This one, it was a reread, and I wanted to reread it because I wanted to see um, if me knowing the ending, I already knew the ending of the mystery and everything. If I knew the ending, would that still satisfy? Would the book still be satisfying when I read it? And I'd have to say that it did. I am gonna put it in the solid read. Um, I think the characters do have an interesting arc. Like the book goes through different perspectives. In general, it's really hard for authors to write multiple perspectives in one book, and I think that this author did a pretty good job. Yeah, again, I'm pretty sure I have a video for this one out, so you can check it out. We're gonna move on. The next one is The Hunger Games. This one, right away, for me, it's perfection. I don't really have to talk about it. If you haven't read this book, you have to read this book. You have to read the series. The next one, Catching Fire, also for me, perfection. Technically, Catching Fire does out tier The Hunger Games just a little bit, but they're both perfection. I wouldn't change a single thing about them. The next one, Mockingjay, this one does go down a little bit. It's going to be in the solid read. Um, the flaw that really brought it down for me is the beginning. The pacing in the beginning was just not it. I remember when I read The Hunger Games and I read The Catching Fire this year, the first 30 pages of both of those books had me invested. They had me really interested. Whereas for Mockingjay, after those 30 pages, I was not in the book, and it kind of put me in a reading slump because I knew I had to continue. But honestly, after the introduction of District 13 and everything, like once Katniss starts doing the propaganda and actually going out into the world, then it gets interesting and then it picks up. But just that beginning portion, it was just rough to get through, and that's why it's down there. Um, all right, so next I have At the Edge of the Universe, and this one. So if you haven't heard about this book, it's pretty much about a guy. I don't remember his name, but he had a boyfriend. I don't remember the name. And the whole thing is that the boyfriend disappears, and also like nobody recalls this person ever existing. So that was interesting. Then the main guy is pretty like um obsessed with the universe, in the sense like he would constantly check how big the universe is, and there's like this website that tells him like a certain number, and he notices that the universe keeps shrinking. So that was also interesting. So I kept reading it, and then I finished it, and the ending didn't make sense to me. So because of that, I'm putting it in the genuinely don't know how to feel about you. Because as I was reading, I was interested in trying to figure out what was happening, but the ending was a letdown. So I don't know. I'm like in that place where like the premise is interesting, but like the ultimate letdown or the ultimate ending was a letdown, and it could very well go to taking you to half price books. And I'm not looking back because realistically, knowing how it ends now, I don't think I would ever pick it up again. I will say it didn't frustrate me to the point that like Looking for Alaska did or Mexican White Boy did. So to me, that is also why it's up in the genuinely don't know how to feel about you, because it it didn't bring me to that level. But I can still see myself like unhauling it. But yeah. Next one that I have is a book called El Chico de la Última Fila. And this one, I'm gonna tell you right now, it is in the it's okay. But I already forgot about you. It's a book where is a guy meets a singer and they pretty much start like living together and they fall in love, and it's like this closed off like story. It's very like small in a sense, and I don't know, like it was okay, but it didn't like impact me in any way. All right, so moving on to the next book is Superman. This one is also written by Matt de la Peña, which wrote Mexican White Boy. With Superman, I do have a video out for it, so you can check it out. Um, with Superman, it's a solid read. It has a couple of flaws that I talk about in the video, but ultimately it was a solid read. I was surprised that I liked it the way that I did because of who the author was. But yeah, it was a solid read. So I'm gonna put it right there. Now, moving on. The next one, also written by Matt de la Peña. I was hoping that this book would be better. This book frustrated me so much. Like, I'm taking you to half price books. I'm not looking back. Like, this was the first book ever in my recent memory that I have gotten so close to rating 1 star, which means that, like, to me, I don't think the book should exist if I rated it 1 star. I think right now it's at 2, because 2 stars for me means that there was potential, but ultimately it was a letdown. This one, I think there was potential, but not with this author. I'm gonna tell you that right now. This I'm never reading a book from this author ever again. I'm not being apologetic for saying that. Um, this book was such a letdown. I'm not gonna make a video for this one. I don't think. Um, I just I hated this book so much when I read it. I like it. I'm telling you, like it got so close to getting that 1 star for me. Um, it just might I might decide to do it. So there's that. All right. Next book is a book called Running with Lions. This is a book that I started many years ago, and it wasn't until this year that I finally finished it. It's a book that I was reading on um, my phone. It was an ebook, and I deleted it like once I finished it. Like, this is the equivalent to taking it half price books, and I'm not looking back. It was a romance book. There was soccer involved. It wasn't a good book. It I don't even know how to explain it. It just wasn't good. It genuinely wasn't good. The romance wasn't built correctly. Um, it just and even with the sport, like there wasn't any. I don't know. We're just gonna move on because I have nothing else to say. So the next one that I have is The Outsiders. Now this one for me, it's perfection. I love this book so much. Um, I have a video out for it explaining why I love it so much. It Nothing else to say. I'm moving on. So the next one that I read is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. And this one is one that I have been waiting to read for a while. And it's on the solid read, but has its flaws. I am planning on making a video for it, so I'm not going to talk about it right now. But it was a solid read. The next one is Lord of the Flies. This one I generally don't know how to feel. It's one of those books that was written so long ago that the syntax and the way it's written doesn't really appeal to me. Um, and even as I read it, like I was understanding the things that was happening, but like I was trying to read it very casually. And this is one of those books that you can't really do that with. Like you definitely have to like sit down and like analyze the things for like stuff to like really make sense. Um, so yeah, I didn't hate it, but I didn't find myself enjoying it. So it's definitely right there. The next one that I read was The Giver. So this one is a book that I do enjoy. It's a solid read. I've only read the first book of the series. This is the first time that I was interested in picking up the second one. I don't own the second one, so I don't know if I'll ever actually pick up and read the second one. but it's a solid read. If you haven't read this book, I would definitely recommend it. All right, and the last book that I read for this year was Mr. Popper's Penguins. This one, it's okay because I just read it this month. I haven't forgotten about it yet, but it's okay. It's not a really amazing story or anything. It's fun. It's short, um, but it's nothing groundbreaking. So that's where I'm gonna put it. All right, so that is it for my tier list. This is what I've read in 2025. Hopefully, I'm reading brand new books in 2026. If you want to see what those books are, go ahead and subscribe so you can see future videos. And thank you so much for watching.